You think you're the one who domesticated your cat, but what if I told you it may be the other way around? To understand the domestication of cats, or the domestication of humans by cats, we have to go back roughly 10,000 years to the Fertile Crescent. This was a region spanning parts of modern-day Iraq, Syria, and Egypt, often called the cradle of civilization. It was here that humans made a monumental shift from nomadic lifestyles to settled farming. With farming came storage, and grain stores were like a magnet for rats and mice. At the same time, African wildcats, or Felis sylvestris libica, that likely scavenged from trash piles on the outskirts of towns, saw an opportunity and started hunting these rodents. And over time, wildcats that were more tolerant of humans began to reproduce in villages. We might have even encouraged cats to stick around to help control pests. The oldest evidence of human-cat companionship takes us back 9,500 years to a burial site on the island of Cyprus. Here, an adult human was laid to rest alongside an 8-month-old cat. Wildcats weren't native to Cyprus, which means humans intentionally brought them to the island. More archaeological clues, like a feline molar from Israel dating back 9,000 years, paint a picture of cats gradually integrating into human life. By 3,600 years ago, Egyptian paintings showed cats as household members. So, cats' status gradually elevated between humans. We have several historical evidence, but the history of cat domestication is full of unanswered questions. The fossil record of African wildcats doesn't help much because it's incomplete, and many specimens aren't preserved properly for genetic analysis. Also, we didn't actively control cat breeding. So, the process of domestication was slow and scattered, and because they continued to interbreed with wildcats, it's hard to trace their genetic history. But at least there is something that we are sure about. Genetic studies point to one origin. All domestic cats can trace their lineage back to the African wildcat. But why didn't domestication occur with wildcats from other regions? Unlike their relatives in Europe or Asia, African wildcats had a significant advantage. They were less aggressive and more tolerant of humans. But European and Asian wildcats lacked the temperament. They were too skittish and avoided humans. Unlike other domesticated animals, cats didn't undergo drastic physical transformations during domestication. Genetic studies reveal that only about 13 genes changed in domestic cats compared to their wild ancestors. To give you a measure, hundreds of genes changed in dogs compared to their wolf ancestors, with significant modifications affecting behavior, cognition, digestion, and physical traits. Cats' changes remained limited to their coat color, vocalization, and temperament. There's one significant change, though: cats' brain size. Domestic cats have smaller brains than wild cats, and it's probably because they no longer needed to outsmart prey in the same way. Living near humans provided them with a steady food supply, and their need for survival-driven intelligence was reduced. But don't let that fool you into thinking cats aren't clever. Instead of brute intelligence, they developed a new skill set: the art of persuasion. Cats are experts at getting what they want, and they've spent thousands of years perfecting their techniques. Take the meow, for instance. In the wild, cats rarely meow at each other. This sound evolved specifically for communicating with humans. It's similar to the pitch and tone of a baby's cry, and because humans are tuned to care for babies when they cry, meows can successfully help cats get what they need. And then there's the purr, a sound we associate with their happiness. But it's more complicated. Cats use an insistent purr by combining a comforting hum with a frequency designed to trigger our nurturing instincts. So, it's almost impossible to ignore a cat that's purring insistently for food or attention. Even physical gestures like headbutts and leg rubs are part of their manipulation arsenal. When a cat rubs against you, it's not just a sign of affection. It's also a way of marking you with their scent and claiming you as their territory. These behaviors have allowed cats to seamlessly integrate into our lives, and at the same time, they still have their independence. As cats became more integrated into human settlements, their roles began to evolve. Nowhere is this transformation more evident than in ancient Egypt. Around 3,500 years ago, cats were elevated from mere pest controllers to symbols of divine power and grace. The Egyptians worshipped Bastet, a goddess often depicted as a lioness or a domestic cat. Bastet was associated with protection, fertility, and music, and her reverence extended to all cats. Killing or harming a cat was considered a grave offense, and cats were even mummified alongside their owners to join them in the afterlife. It's likely that selective breeding began in Egypt. Egyptians probably favored cats with desirable traits, like sociability or striking appearances, and it led to the development of early domestic breeds. This was the beginning of cats as companions that were valued not just for their utility but also for their aesthetic and symbolic qualities. As human civilizations expanded, cats spread to new regions. When the Romans expanded their empire, cats traveled with them, and they became a common sight across Europe. About 2,000 years ago, they reached the Far East through trade routes connecting Greece, Rome, and Asia. Later, European explorers brought cats to the Americas and eventually to Australia, completing their journey around the globe. They traveled alongside traders and explorers. On ships, cats played a vital role as pest controllers, and they protected valuable cargo from rodents. So they reduced the spread of diseases like the plague. In new regions, cats adapted to their environments, sometimes interbreeding with local wildcats. In isolated areas like Southeast Asia, this led to the development of distinct breeds, such as the Siamese. The modern diversity of cat breeds is a relatively recent phenomenon. For most of history, cats were valued for their utility and companionship, and not for their appearance. But in the 19th century, with the rise of the cat fancy movement, selective breeding for aesthetics began. Today, there are over 60 recognized breeds, and they range from the long-haired Persian to the hairless Sphinx and the exotic Bengal. But despite this diversity, all domestic cats share a common ancestor in the African wildcat. The relationship between cats and humans has always been one of mutual benefit. Cats keep our homes rodent-free, provide companionship, and bring joy with their quirky behaviors. In return, we offer food, shelter, and a safe environment. But this relationship goes deeper. Cats have a unique ability to sense human emotions, and they often provide comfort when their owners are stressed. This calming presence has even been linked to health benefits like reduced anxiety and lower blood pressure. Despite their long history with humans, cats remain semi-wild compared to other domesticated animals, and they've retained their hunting instincts and independence. This leads to an intriguing question. Are cats truly domesticated? Unlike dogs, which rely heavily on humans for survival, feral cats can thrive without human intervention. They can hunt, find shelter, and raise their young independently. So, they're uniquely self-reliant among domesticated species. As our world changes, so too will the lives of cats. Urbanization, climate change, and shifts in human lifestyles will undoubtedly shape their future. But one thing is certain, cats will continue to adapt, just as they have for thousands of years.